Man, today was a bit of a drag. I did the pin squats today. I haven't done them in a little while, and so I've had them back in my mind for a little bit. The struggle has been, how do I incorporate, heavy ass, super maximal pin squats with the stuff that I'm trying to do currently, and that's 3 sets of 5 every single day at 80% of whatever the training top weight is for each day. So today I decided to do pin squats first. I did them. I worked up to 270 for one. Now, I used one level lower than I usually use for the pin squats. So maybe that what happened today, but I was really gassed. So I did sets of 10 on the way up, and then the last set was just a single at 270. And that completely zapped me, man. I basically had nothing left after that. I went into squats, and squats felt heavy, which is interesting because usually when I do these pin squats, and certainly the last time I had annual leave, I had that crazy period where I'd hit 200 kilos every single day for like 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks. It was like 16, 17 days. And that was basically, a combination of things. But one of the ingredients in that, run was the pin squats. So I would come in, do the pin squats, work up to a heavy single at varying different heights. I even did like super kind of like, high pins where I would I think I handled like 350, like just basically like a minimal range of motion basically. And so, once you strip the bar, all the way to zero, and then you go back up with normal range of motion squats, the bar feels like it's not even like a matter of thinking about it's heavy on your shoulders or nothing. It's just nothing, 200 kilos, 180 kilos, 160 kilos is nothing in comparison than, to having 350 on your freaking back and, shouldering that, whatever. It's a small range of motion, but you still have the weight on your spine and on your organism, and you got to brace against that. And so usually the pin squats kind of give me this kind of edge, a neural kind of drive, a bit of a kind of like a wake-up call, and then everything feels good. I start kind of firing on all cylinders, if you will. Today, I did the pin squats, and I felt like a freaking truck hit me. It really zapped all the energy out of me. I don't know why that is. I want to say that, this block that I'm in right now, we're doing these, 3 sets of 5 every single day. Maybe that's kind of accumulated this fatigue, and the pin squats just basically spent me, but I'm not sure. So today I basically had to auto-regulate. So after I hit the 270 for one single on the pin squats, stripped the bar back, started running up on the normal squats, got to 180, and 180 was a freaking grinder, man. My legs were spent. Maybe it was just a neural system being spent, I'm not sure. But basically I called it there. If I can't squat 180, easily, there's no point doing back off sets. It's clearly an indicator that my body's like, man, we're tired now, man. Like, just chill. And so that was the single that I got from the body. If 180 feels like that for me, it's time to basically pack up and go home. But I didn't. I gave it up there, so I didn't do any back off sets there. So my initial plan of doing back off sets every single day, 3 sets of 5, didn't work today. Basically, the pin squats could not coexist with these back off sets today, simply put. I didn't have the fire in me. Whether it be a metabolic thing, whether it be a central nervous system thing, I'm not sure. But I didn't squat after that. I hit that 180 and I was like, yeah, that's enough for me. Put the bar on the floor, went to the deadlifts. I worked up to 220 on the deadlifts. And once again, after I hit that 180 grinder, it felt like a grinder. This is the thing, there's grinders and then there's squat everyday grinders. For me, I don't want to grind like people grind when they, max out once in freaking 12 weeks. Those grinders you can afford because you're going to have a deload after that. And, for me, if I grind 3, 4, 5 seconds, man, it's not something that I like doing. And so for me, a grinder is something that moves slowly. And you'll see it coming up. The moment I felt it and the strain behind it, I really had to work hard for 180, so I just let it go. Did 220 on the deadlift. Called it quits there, and then I wanted to do today as well was do some floor presses. It's been 2 or 3 days now since the last time I did them, so I wanted to do it today. Man, by the time I got to the floor presses, man, I've said this to you guys, like I get motivated for the squat and deadlift. Bench press is kind of like an afterthought, and especially it wouldn't be an afterthought if I wasn't so driven to like increase the deadlift and the squat. But because like all my energy goes into the first couple of lifts, the first couple of exercises, man, by the time I start doing the floor presses, it's like an hour into the session. You know, I've just completely zapped my system. Central nervous system is spent, I'm tired. And the fact that I have to lay down, this is another thing, man. Bench pressing is literally laying down and exercising. Man, I'm one of those guys, like, I don't care what time of the day it is. If you leave me on like a horizontal surface for more than 5 minutes, I'm asleep. You know what I mean? I just fall asleep. When I lay down on the bench, I'm like, Jesus, I got to work out now. Like, I could fall asleep right now on the floor. So the fact that I was like hour deep into the session and I'm completely zapped, and then I have to lay down and exercise. If it was any other, like say if it was overhead press, I think I'll be more kind of up for it. But the fact that I have to lay down and do an exercise like the bench press, it just kind of further takes away the central nervous system drive from me. So it was already zapped from the pin squats and the squats and deads. But then like I lay down to start doing an exercise, it just, oh man, it zapped me. So anyway, I did 3 sets of 5 with the floor presses with 110 kilos. And that's also an awkward lift. Like you stop exactly where you don't want to stop. So it's kind of like my central nervous system is zapped. I'm laying down, I want to fall asleep. And this damn exercise is making me do exactly what I don't want to do. It's just like, just give me a pillow and I'll turn over and fall asleep. But you know, it gets me thinking, like if you guys have like some sort of body part or a movement that you want to kind of bring up and you're struggling with it, just bloody make sure that this thing is right at the front of of your training program. Like, don't come in and be like, yeah, well, my calves are really lacking or my squat is really lacking. I'll just tuck it in at the end once. No. You know, if you start doing an exercise like an hour into your session, that exercise is supposed to be fluff, essentially. You can't be focusing heavily on something hour and a half into like a really big exertion period. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about this as well back in the day. You know, he struggled with his calves for a long time. And, you know, I think it was in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia or Bodybuilding or something like that. I remember buying this book like 5-10 years ago. And in there, he talked about, like, if you have a weakness, do it, like, first thing as soon as you walk into the gym. So he started doing calves, like, not like his number one. So he'd walk in, he's like, my calves are shocking. So just start doing calves while you're fresh. Because the idea behind that is, you know, once you're exhausted, once you've kind of like burnt out all of your, you know, spark plugs or whatever the case might, whatever analogy you want to use, you know, you can still exercise, you can still go through the motions, but you're not going to have that pop. You're not going to have that poppiness about you. You don't have that fire, like, you know, that innovation, of, like the nerves that are innovating this muscle fiber are going to like produce less drive, central nervous drive, because your central nervous is fatigued. Like whether it's like a neurochemical exhaustion, you've just kind of spent all of the electrolytes and you can't really fire with the same intensity. But maybe it's that, or maybe it's not that. Like basically you can't stimulate the muscle, you know, an hour into a session like you can first minute. You know what I mean? And so I think it's in your best interest to do that. Like whatever the case might be, whatever. Like everyone's got different kind of weaknesses and whatever. But for me, and this is part of the trouble. Like the harder I push into the squat and the deadlift, the more the bench press kind of falls to the side. Because I basically, like, I'm spent, man. I don't really, like, I don't even care anymore about exercise. Like, after I've gone through that, man, I just want to go home and eat something and drink and just chill. You want me to lay down on the ground, get real comfortable and start, man, get the hell out of here, man. I just want to fall asleep. This is my thing with bench pressing. But, you know, if you had me, say you had me do overhead press, okay, so I'm standing with that at least. You know, you can't fall asleep freaking standing. You know, that's kind of cool to me. I'll get more excited about that. But any freaking exercise that has you laying down, I just want to fall asleep, man. Because, you know, everything that I do basically is standing. So anyway, if you're gonna do like a sitting or lying down exercise, freaking do it at the start of the session. Maybe I should take my own damn advice. Maybe I should open up with the damn bench press. Because, you know, if you fall asleep as a first freaking exercise, you probably shouldn't be in the gym. But anyway, I doubt I will ever kind of jump in the gym and do bench number one. Like, that's, to me, like, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't get excited about bench press the way I like to. I go to the gym to squat, and all I want to do is improve the squat. Have me come in and do bench first, I'll be like, man, I don't want to be. I just want to get through this. Anyway, we all got our goals and whatever. This is kind of why I say to you guys, like, I know everyone wants to kind of be an overall kind of like power lifter and have all the lifts kind of going really well, but it's kind of hard. It's really, really hard. So I always say to people, and some people kind of disagree with this, but I'll say, like, pick one lift, get really good at that, become a specialist, really kind of focus all of your stuff in there. Because to me, if whatever the lift is, if you get really good at one thing, especially if it's kind of like the squat or the deadlift, there's carryover there, right? Like, if you can freaking deadlift 400 kilos, you're going to have a pretty, like, you're going to at least squat 200 now, at least, even if you don't freaking practice it. Because, the bars on your back, you can just freaking good morning that shit up, right? With the bench press, same thing with the bench press. Like, if you have like a, I don't know, 4-plate bench press, and you've kind of got the bench press to an advanced level, you already are equipped with the knowledge, the periodization, the understanding of the human body to get a body part that strong or a movement that's strong. And so I think there's carryover there to the bench, to the squat and the deadlift. Like, you understand, what volume is, what specificity is, what frequency is. You understand some of these pillars of training, and then you can kind of like, put some of that understanding into squatting. Even if you just took exactly what you did, sets and reps, percentages, and all of that, and you put it into the squat, you're gonna get somewhere, right? So I always say to people, like, it's kind of really hard to understand maths as a whole subject, but pick one little thing, like understand one little discipline in mathematics, and you go, okay, I understand this, and then you kind of move on. That's kind of how I studied, nursing, and that's how I studied everything. Like, you just pick it apart, study one thing, understand one thing, and then build upon that. It's also easier for your psyche as well. Like, pushing all 3 lifts at the same time, it's very, very difficult. For me, at least. I don't know, every time I've kind of had blocks in my past where I've gone, okay, all these damn lifts, I'm doing 5x5 for the lot. Man, like, you are wasted. Talk about, what I'm talking about here today, about getting spent. I don't know, man, like, it's really hard. Unless you have a really low frequency and you go, like, I don't know, whatever people do, Monday bench press, or let's say deadlift Monday, bench press Wednesday, and then Friday squat or something like that. Like, super low frequency, that could work. If you just dedicate the whole day to a lift, that could work. But I don't know how efficient that is in terms of skill acquisition and getting skilled at the particular movement. Like, there needs to be some sort of frequency, in my opinion, at least. And I know all sorts of people out there get really good results squatting once a month or whatever. People say, Tom Platt squatted once every 6 weeks. I don't know what the hell that is, man. I don't know. Well, like, what is that? Just imagine, like, who gets better at doing something once every 6 weeks? I don't know. He might have done that, but he must be smashing his quads and hamstrings and glutes through other means. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if that makes sense to me. I don't know. I mean, he had incredible development. Also, he was mates in the golden era. Everyone was kind of juicing the hell out of it. So I don't know. Clearly, whatever he did worked, but the whole story there is not clear to me. For me, specificity as a natural strength athlete or strength interested, everyday Joe, for me, frequency is by far the most important pillar. Maybe sharing that same space with specificity. That's how I got where I am. I couldn't imagine squatting once every 6 weeks. But anyway, become a specialist. That's kind of what I'm saying here. Anyway, I want to get in the house and eat. I'm hungry, thirsty, and all that. I'm going to have a good sleep tonight, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.